Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GBYWN Australia podcast. I'm your host, as per usual, Aston Crude. And here tonight, I have a few special guests to help me with a little review show. That's right, a review show that we've been doing quite a lot lately. And this is the review of our latest show, WZWA Hard Time 6. First person to introduce you to, as per usual, my co-host, Daniel Johnston.
Hey, how are you? Yeah.
Yep, that's sick. And special guest, or guests, here tonight is the Battlefield Brawl winner. The man that selfishly eliminated 8 people from the Battlefield Brawl.
Fucking idiot.
Big Red Ryan Tate.
It's my yard now.
The look on your face when you said that was just so disturbing. You look like you've just given up on life.
Because I've heard enough of it already, I'm sick of it.
I mean, you would think that after someone wins the Battlefield Brawl, they'd be like, it's my yard now, but he's like, it's my yard now.
Right.
Jesus.
And also with us is Commissioner Lyla.
Oh yeah, hey.
I'm sure you probably won't chime in too much. And Killawatt Kaos is here too, but he's taken a vow of silence apparently for this podcast.
I don't fucking have to if you ask me a question.
I'll ask you if I feel fit to ask you a question, or if I see fit, I will.
I'd also like to reply to Ryan that your yard is in the middle of my galaxy, so just settle down, boy.
What is that? The original line was my world.
Yeah, well,
now you're taking...
Triple H owns a planet, I own a galaxy. Thank you very much. You should pipe down too.
Alright, wrestling nerds, we get it, okay? We get all the references, very good.
No, most people probably don't.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Cool. Let's get on with the show. Hard Time 6. Yep.
Well, you're going to need to order this one if you want it to go smoothly, so...
Yeah, I will.
Do you want me to start?
No?
Okay.
Hard Time 6, this past Saturday. What do we think overall, guys?
Well, I thought it was... Well, actually, I thought it was a bit of a hit and miss show for me. There were some things that didn't quite hit, some things that were very good. We'll get into that later, but yeah, it was kind of a bit up and down for me. So, yeah.
Big Red.
Yeah, I'd say there was like a lot of ups and downs from the show, but I think that's much due to, like, my opinion, the energy from the crowd. There was a lot of dead points. There was high points, a lot of dead points. Like it was just like an up and downhill kind of thing. So,
Gotcha.
but still overall enjoyable show.
Okay. Lyla, your GBYWN Australia podcast debut here tonight. Your thoughts on the show? Did you enjoy it?
It was okay. It lacked a lot, I'd say, in time management.
Gotcha.
So those probably weren't the greatest parts of it, but it was a decent show.
Okay.
Had ups and downs, but
Yep. So I think across the board, Chaos, do you agree as well?
Definitely, just a roller coaster of a show.
Yep. So I guess across the board, we can say it was an up and down kind of affair.
Bit of a meh.
Yeah.
Bit of a meh.
Well, you see, like, I look back at the recap and I realised that most of the matches on the show were actually quite good. They were just... The real low points of the show dragged the good shit down.
It's like what we talked about with the last review show, how you've got them shows that some of them aren't that good in person, but they're great on the recap. Some aren't that great on the recap, but they're great in person.
Yeah.
This was one that looked a lot better on the recap, But yeah, I agree. The matches definitely weren't actually maybe as bad as we might have thought. But it definitely, yeah.
Alright, well, look, I'm going to start off this with a little bit of a rant. And we'll try and get into the show as soon as we possibly can. But I need to say this, and I hope the guys are listening. Because I'm at a point now where I'm trying to enjoy what time we have left. And I can't enjoy it because of certain things that are taking place that I kind of... I've been going on and on about for the last few weeks, especially on the thread. Number one, every time I get to the WZWA arena, the camera is not charged. We can't access the camera to put it on charge immediately because we don't know where it is. So, Jack, I hope you are listening. it would be helpful if the camera could be placed in a spot where we can easily find it, easily grab it, and it might be nice if it was already charged. That's the first thing. So you grab the camera at 5 to 11 when I wanted to start the show at 11. The auxiliary cord, yes, that unfortunately snapped. That needed to be sorted out. But it certainly doesn't help the situation if, you know, the camera's dead. And DJ, you might want to watch where the smoke's going because I think it's bothering Ryan.
No, you're good, mate. You're good.
Sure?
That's
all right.
Good all the time.
So, look, that's the first issue that I have, and that's just such a simple thing that could be easily avoided if the camera's charged and placed in a nice little spot for us to grab. We don't need you for anything else, Jack. We can set up the show as we have done for the last year. The next thing, obviously, I painstakingly had been whinging for weeks and weeks about people arriving on time. I wanted the show to start at 11. Yes, I know, because of the snapped auxiliary cord we couldn't, but that's beside the point. I asked people to be there before 11 because I wanted to start at 11. So if you arrive at 10:57, sorry, that doesn't help the situation. When I'm saying 11, I'm saying we start the show at 11. The first person that's coming out to make his entrance is walking out at 11 o'clock, 11:01. That's what I'm talking about. But 10:55, we had about 7 people there. And Jack wasn't one of them. He was still upstairs in bed. And Mitch walks in. Alright, that's fair enough, because Mitch has to drive from fucking Mandurah.
Bunbury.
But, well, he stays at his girlfriend's on Friday night, I believe.
Fair enough.
But he's there before several people who are only a couple suburbs away, and he's there earlier than them. So that kind of shit really disjoints how organised the show can be from the get-go, and I've got to constantly play catch-up for the rest of the day. Therefore, I can no longer enjoy the rest of the day. Now, I do get help at times when I ask for it, so I asked Kaos if he could help me out. But then Kaos would go around telling people it's time for you to get ready for your match, and they would give him a snide comment, or they would ignore him. Not appreciated. Certainly not appreciated. I need the shows to run smoothly. So if we lose that first hour, because Jack needs to get the auxiliary cord, and Steele's driving him, but then the guys need to go to Bunnings to grab weapons for their match, even though they knew their match a month in advance was going to be a hardcore match. You take 45 minutes to get yourselves all organised and back to the arena. Yeah, we did have to charge the camera, so, okay, there's an excuse there. But the fact of the matter is, we've lost the first hour now, already. 1 hour is so important.
It's almost like people think, we'll worry about that stuff on the day because it would just be fine. That's what we always do. But the thing is, it's never actually been fine to conduct it in that manner. It's always been a problem. It's just now we're getting to the wire with the end of the Fed, and this problem's still going on. Far be it from me to make too many criticisms about it, because I'm not one of the people that has to trek. Like, I'm lucky enough to usually get a lift with Carl. But back before I had the advantage of getting a lift with Carl, I used to have to painstakingly try to get away to the shows. And whenever I get to shows, you'll always notice that I'm always in my gear straight away, just in case my match needs to go on.
Yeah.
It's like, not me saying that I'm better than anyone. It's just that if everybody tried to follow that example and just get in their gear straight away and be ready, it would make it much easier when Carl needs a match to go on, and maybe it would be a bit nicer for me not to have to wait, or not to have to go on straight away like I normally do, because I'm one of the only people that's ready. So that's
exactly. And so that was the next thing, and then obviously as the day went on, it got better, and people were boom, 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 ready for their match when they were asked, and that was cool. But I think the thing that disappointed me the most was that I had made a real big stink about the fact that I had a gig on after the show. I needed to be out of there as soon as possible. And I got to clean up that backyard, because if I don't clean up that backyard, then Noel gets pissed off, then we don't get the venue. Then shit goes down where shows end up getting cancelled, or there's time constraints and shit like that, and Jack gets given headaches from his dad because of it. So there's a situation as the show is over where everyone is standing at ringside
Having a chat.
And I'm picking up me, the guy that does literally way more than I probably should because of the stress levels that you're all very well aware of. I'm picking up chairs and stacking them. I'm putting things in the bin. Not that any of this stuff is beneath me. Not at all. I'll put fucking shit in the bin if it needs to be put in there. But I'd like to see 20 other people also picking up shit, so a fucking 10-minute job is about a 45-second job. Kaos helped me lift some shit into the upstairs area. Gareth helped lift some shit into the upstairs area. It was just them two that were really helping at that stage. And I'm sure there were other people doing stuff, but I probably didn't notice because I was too busy pissed off at the 15-odd people just standing there watching old man Carl fucking putting all the shit away and putting shit in the bin. So that's disappointing to me that I made such a stink about people being there early, people being organised for the matches, and we've got to make sure that we clean up the house. So that's my main whinge about the show. To be perfectly honest, that's the main whinge, is that shit, we've been doing it for 5 years now, guys. You're all pretty much adults now. I can't be babying you and begging everyone to help every single step of the way. It should be easy. End rant. Let's get on with the show. So we finally start off the show. Midday. Myself and Blade. 1-on-1 gets turned into the mixed tag team match with Lyla and Stacey. First ever in backyard wrestling history. I think someone else should take it away because I'm sick of my own voice. Ryan.
Well, I actually got the best seat in the house for this because I actually got to ref it. But I wanted to say on Carl's promo, they did. Top work. I think now that you're fully re-established yourself as a heel, there's that freedom that you get because when you're face, you're all goody goody and high-fiving people.
It's such a relief.
It's just really
It's
exactly.
just not who he is.
You can just express your inner asshole, and it really showed.
And his outer asshole as well.
Yeah. It really showed, and you just constantly berating the crowd members and the whole fake diffuser entrance, and Stacey as well, just clapping along and agreeing to everying you're saying, buying into all of it like a real manager should, and it's great.
Yeah.
Blade coming out, you guys having that sweet back and forth. Blade one-upping you with the insults.
Yes.
Good stuff. I think I just it's been so long since I've seen the Aston heel character. So I was the entire time I was refereeing, I was just smiling because of all the antics you were doing, hiding in the ropes, running away, and all that.
Screaming at you.
Screaming at me.
Ref, get him off me quicker.
Gouging the eyes. It's all that good stuff. It's that's Aston, you know. It's what I'm used to.
Yeah. I gave the babyface thing a real red hot go there for a while, but it's so much better being a heel.
Yeah.
Well, you've taken the promo, DJ. You want to talk about the match?
Yeah, I thought the match was pretty good. I think it picked up steam once it turned into the mixed tag because it just kind of, gave a little extra dimension to the match. The singles match was good, probably better than that last time that you two wrestled, which was good. Blade obviously did a wonderful job as champion, and then the mixed tag I really liked. Lyla got to do her thing. Everyone got their little moment to shine in the match, and that's really all you can ask for in that situation, because Lyla and Stacey aren't full-time wrestlers, so whenever they're in the ring it's fun to see, and as long as they all get their little moment in the sun, I think it's hard to complain about it. But the actual flow of the match and the story that was told, I think it worked out really well. Got the show started off on a good note. But in saying that, that's when I did notice what Ryan was talking about with the crowd, because it seemed like even when there was some really good shit happening in the ring, there wasn't much of a crowd reaction, like, really at any point today, unless there was some crazy bullshit move that the boys would want to watch back on Facebook afterwards, you know, so...
Yeah. What did you think of, did you see it, obviously you didn't see it coming, but what did you think when you found out, oh, it's a mixed tag now, cool?
Well,
was it something like that? Like, how did you react when you found? Oh, okay.
Well, when I found out it was a mixed tag, I was just kind of like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Changing it up, doing something a bit different. It's an opportunity before the Fed comes to a close to get Lyla a little bit more ring time and involve those peripheral characters a bit more. So and it made sense. Like, even though Lyla's the commissioner, it was like one example where it made sense for the commissioner to be involved in the match. Like, back when JD was the commissioner, I used to think sometimes, like, it didn't make too much sense for the commissioner to be doing this or that when he's the commissioner. But, this all made a lot of sense, and I thought it was really fun. And, I liked it a lot.
Lily, the super kick, daunting?
Not really.
No?
No. Felt natural. I don't know. I don't do it often, but it felt... There was that level of trust there, I guess, so...
I thought it was sweet. Absolutely sweet.
It was on the money.
And
really
I
good.
think just, me and Stacey as heels together, that's just a match made in heaven right there. She was fantastic as well. Played off really well. She's arguing with you constantly as a referee, doing a great job.
Her arguing and her just the improvisation and like going off, like saying I'm a shit ref, go get a new referee. This is bullshit. Do your job. Watch the match. I'm like, I am watching the match, but I'm clearly looking at her and not doing it. It's great.
Excellent.
Great banter.
I'll actually add something to that. A lot of times in WZWA when there's someone on the outside of the ring, and I might even be guilty of it myself, but we often tend to try and get the focus pulled onto ourselves with our antics outside the ring. Some people that are most notable for doing that. Jack always does that. Chris always does that. Always kind of trying to pull too much of the attention away from the match in the ring onto their antics on the outside. And there's no problem with doing the antics and the shenanigans. That's part of what makes it fun. But we also got to remember that the focus should be on the match inside the ring. And I think Stacey's an expert at that because she knows exactly what her job is, and she doesn't try to overstep what that role is. She just plays it to the best of her ability. And even though she doesn't try to get herself over-involved, people still notice the shit that she does because she makes it count. And then goes back to being on the sidelines while the stuff in the ring is in focus.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of advice there for people that are accompanying other wrestlers to the ring and stuff.
Yeah, good point. And lastly, I'll say shame about the pepper spray can.
I was gonna mention
botching.
that.
The lid popped off.
She should have.
She tried to put it back on. She ended up hitting him, but not really that hard. So I got Brian to omit it from the recap. But nonetheless, good way to start the show. The next match, I believe, was Big Red one-on-one with Big Ace. The Battle of the Bigs, I suppose you could say. First time ever, one-on-one. I really enjoyed the match myself. Once again, Ace just hitting it out of the park. Show after show after show after show. And it all began with his match with Luke Monet. Moving through with his matches with Kaos, myself, Steel at ICWS, and now Ryan. Ace is on fire, baby. What do you think, DJ?
Well, I think I'd echo that sentiment. I've made it no secret what a big fan of Ace that I've become. Obviously, I've always liked him because he's a great guy, but wrestling-wise, I've become a huge fan of his. He's one of my favourites in the Fed. Obviously, whenever Ryan's going to be in the ring, he's another one of my favourites. It's always someone that you can count on for a good match. One thing I really liked about this match was the actual application of psychology. Ryan working on Ace's leg, trying to chop the big man down, rather than just doing his regular moveset and expecting this huge guy to suddenly react the same way that Jack Wallace would react, for example. A lot of people in backyard wrestling in general, I would suspect, don't really employ that kind of storytelling. but Ryan always does. And I think the fact that it looks like Ace actually had to climb, kind of fight his way up into a position of advantage really worked well. And then it made sense for such a big guy to tap out at the end because it was a submission that focused on that injured leg. If he hadn't have been working on that leg and he had made him tap out, you would have just been like, well, why didn't he just use one of them motherfucking tree trunks to kick him away? Ace, of course, another great match. Like you said, hit it out of the park, power slam, bam, splash, bam. Those body slams were as good as anything you would see in a professional ring in terms of the actual execution and the bumping by Ryan. So really no bad things to say about this match either. It was a great match between two really great wrestlers, and I think, thanks to Ryan, Ace has another great match under his belt that he can be proud of.
Yep. Big Red, what was it like working with Big Ace?
Working with Ace was actually it was quite a bit of a step for me because DJ hit it on the head just before, saying that having to change up my moveset and work because I haven't actually versed anyone of so much bigger than me than when I versed Blade, but that was in a hardcore rules and all that. So it was a bit honestly it was a bit daunting for me because I didn't know how it would go, but it went a lot better than I was expecting. First couple of things we did in the match were a bit iffy, like the wrapping his leg in the rope, trying to go for the kick, the super kicks, but that didn't really work. But just have to just work your way through it and try different things, and it worked out well. Sorry about the elbow and busting it open, Ace, but that worked well with psychology as well. Like me telling you, look straight at the crowd, show them you're bleeding, then beat the shit out of me, and I loved the full-on strike you took at me as well.
I believe we call that the butts cunt.
Yeah, butts cunt. Very, very good work. The ending spot was done to perfection. Just holding me up, going calling for the Shazam, slipping down, elbow to the back of the head, and then just everything went well. One thing I was a bit about was the promo I did at the start because I was supposed to mention Antilochus, but all in all, I was really happy with Ace and his progression. And it was you can as you guys said, thanks to both of us, but it was honestly all props to Ace because he did such a great job.
Excellent. After the match, obviously Antilochus takes out Ryan Tate with an Antiloch cutter. I thought it was very well executed, looked good, and good to get the spotlight on Jacob once again. Let's not forget the fact that Antilochus is one of the top heels in WZWA, and he's not going to let being eliminated from the Battlefield Brawl go by lightly, and he sold it very well, especially when he was yelling in Ryan's face about getting revenge. And then, of course, Deacon and Aries once again with another fucking run-in, which at this point I'm finding it hilarious. Once again seeing Aries, sprinting towards the ring, the guy just won't stop interfering.
It's like its own meme. He's constantly just going in there, trying to get his, trying to just make his presence felt. But I'll say, Jacob's promo, short, sweet, to the point. That's what you want. No rambling, no bullshit. The guys doing the interference, I thought it worked really well. It was cool seeing Kyle come there to
hit them harder with the chair, Kyle.
Hit him harder with the chair, but it was cool seeing Kyle come and make the save for Big Ace. Because if you look back over the 5-year history of WZWA, you now have 4 people, Ace, Aries, Deacon, Kyle, whose histories are all intertwined with each other. There's not really one of them without the other 3 of them. So it's becoming quite interesting seeing that finally culminate towards the end of the Fed.
Yep. Alright, what was next? Regan versus Aries?
I believe so.
Rex Regan versus Arthur Aries. You could tell concerted effort on Aries' behalf, knowing that there were NHPW representatives in the war zone, wanting to show what he's capable of, because he's very keen to try his hand at NHPW training once WZWA ends. I thought those two really worked a good little technical contest between one another. Very tough doing heel versus heel, but
didn't seem to make much of a problem.
No, they just went out there and just had a good wrestling match, and that's all that was really expected of them. Regan goes over. Big Red, thoughts?
I was very impressed with this. With Aries, since he's been back, he's been going up against people new, and they're basically pretty much like dream matches in a sense. Like this was like definitely one of them. Like he did so well, and like it's starting to show like Regan as well, like with his pro training that he's been doing.
Yeah.
All the chain wrestling at the start was phenomenal, and how Rex put it in the promo following that, Aries held his own, and that was awesome to see. Like he was like, as you mentioned to me, Carl, as we were watching the match, he was pulling back for his punches, showing the emphasis on it. It was all just the little things was really good.
He's improved on his strikes insurmountably since his return.
Also, squashing Rex on the Northern Light suplex was insane.
It was delightful, really.
Yeah.
Not good though, from a safety standpoint.
Yeah, not good for a safety, no.
That needs to be worked on.
But I enjoyed seeing.
No, I know
Rex's
everyone.
head
It's
get
funny.
squashed.
Like Rex's pain is funny, but I'm saying that as far as safe execution goes.
Of course.
Yeah.
DJ.
Yeah, well, I mean, this was one of the matches that I was really looking forward to going in. Obviously, you know, Aries is another one that I've been saying for a while now, has some real natural ability that he's cultivating, and every show he seems to get just that little bit better. And you go up against Rex, who, as you all know, is another one of my favorites, and I really enjoy his work. I think that the biggest thing coming out of this match was Aries really, you know, kept up with Rex Regum. It didn't seem like Rex was having to slow down to meet Aries' skill level. It really seemed like he did his thing, he was on his A-game, and Aries rose to the occasion and stuck with him. You know, there was a lot of high-impact moves, there was a good pace, there was no dead air. The chain wrestling at the beginning made sense, and it looked good. So really, it's a tick in every box for me. I think that that's an example of what a really good backyard wrestling match should be.
Agreed. And I think at this stage, Rex can do no wrong. He's been putting on some pretty good performances in the last few months, so
And
props
good promo
to
afterwards
Champagne
as well.
Rex Regum.
Champagne Rex Regum.
What's next?
That would be the Cruiserweight Zoo.
Okay, the Cruiserweight Zoo.
You should start this one off, Carl.
I'll start this one off.
Maybe get some thoughts from Kaos, because he was involved in the match.
I mean, look, this was always going to be a risk doing this match, but just knowing the people that were going to be in it, Kyle, Deacon, Monet, Jacob, Jack, I thought surely this would be a solid little contest. I don't know what happened. It was just like the crowd, the air had been taken out of the arena immediately. I don't know why. One thing I don't know. It was Luke Monet in the Mojo Flow mask. Obviously we know Luke portrays Mojo Flow, but just him being Mojo Flow, he takes the mask off after hitting the Jara kick on Midday Rocker to get the pin. It just didn't make any sense that it was so obviously Mojo Flow the whole match. And, you know, I don't know. I just don't think it was portrayed properly.
I don't think it was thought through. It's like, there goes...
Because he was getting pinned all over the place so easily, and maybe, you know, you could say that makes sense that he would pretend to be so weak.
Is that to imply that he's been pretending for like 3 years?
No. It's just this one
was...
time that he attacked Mojo Flow backstage kind of thing.
If it was supposed to be him under the mask this whole time, why hasn't he done things like win the Cruiserweight title and win all the mask?
Well, no, it hasn't
stuff
been
like
that. It was just this one isolated incident.
But that's what makes it confusing, though, because it's always been him.
I know.
So it's like,
Yeah, I know.
You know.
I do fully agree. Where like if he truly was Luke Monet under Mojo Flow's mask, everything would be somewhat him acting like Mojo Flow, but it wouldn't be exactly. Like
and it
Mojo
was too
Flow.
close to.
You know, it's exactly the same blueprint. Otherwise, like if it really was Luke Monet under the mask, you'd have something a bit different. Like when he comes out, feed me more. He might not do the feed me more and look in the camera. He might be like, oh yeah, feed me more. Walks out.
Yeah.
Something a bit off about that character.
Yeah, you got to do something a little bit off. But look, at the end of the day, it didn't really matter because it just... Look, the match was alright. Like, it served its purpose, and its purpose was to get Jack a big win and put the spotlight on him. And most of the good stuff that happened in this match was either from Jack or Kyle, I would say, Emilio. Everyone did okay, but it was just, it was the clusterfuck that we knew it was going to be.
Well, should I just put in some thoughts?
Sure.
Yeah. So Kaos said that. Yeah. Jack did provide most of the best parts of the match. You can tell that he's 100% committed to the 55 Live cruiserweight angle gimmick, however you want to refer to it. I think that when you watch one of these 55 Live matches, you expect it to be kind of a clusterfucky match with some good shit spotted throughout of it. It's really just a fun time for the crowd to enjoy themselves and have a bit of a laugh. I think the apathy of the crowd that affected the whole show really exposed this kind of match, though.
Yeah, exactly.
And sort of, if it had been a really good crowd, it would have kind of elevated the overall quality of the match.
If the crowd went mental,
yeah,
it would have been completely different.
Completely different. A crowd can make or break a match, and in this case, the crowd really threw this match under the bus.
It was almost like everyone gave up on it before even giving it a chance.
And I do think that perhaps there was a bit too many moving parts, maybe a few too many people, maybe the championship scramble idea itself didn't really go over in the backyard wrestling setting, but whatever it was, some things just didn't really coagulate that well, and so you ended up having Jack Wallace trying really hard to have this great match, and everyone else just kind of not being as committed to the idea as him. And before I finish off, I'll also say, maybe if there had have been a slow progression from Mojo Flow suddenly starts getting harder and harder to beat throughout the match, revealing that it's because he's supposed to be this wrestler that's a higher caliber than most everyone else in the match. So perhaps that would have been good if he had have taken control of the match and started kicking everyone's ass like Luke Monet can. Then that would have killed two birds with one stone and improved the quality and the flow of the match and made more sense with the reveal of him being Luke Monet under the mask. And
apologies for... Just Esqueleto was shit this month. I got lost as soon as I had the microphone. I forgot everything I was going to say, and it's all going to be made up for when Ryan uploads this thing that we recorded today. Big Red.
Well,
you'll have a few things to say because you were on music.
I was on music, but first I'll talk about the actual match itself. I'm a fan of the idea of a championship scramble. I've always liked it. I've told Carl this a couple of times. But unfortunately, the guys did try their best. I think it's just a tricky match to do, especially when you have that's so many people involved at once. Because it goes from just a singles to a triple threat to a four-way to a five-way. It's extremely difficult when you have so many different people because you're trying to do spots and other guys are doing spots at the same time. It'll be, I don't know, a guy trying to do a Hurricane Rana, but there's someone in the way, laying there and not selling to the outside or something like that. And you guys already said it, the crowd really I don't think they really gave the match a chance. As soon as they're it's the masked wrestlers, it's it's just no energy for it. Jack did a reverse Rana on Jacob. That was an insane move that would get a crazy reaction normally in any other match. But I think the fact that it was under midday rocker,
it's almost as if as soon as people see that it's multiple masked people instead of one, they automatically go, "Well, this is just going to be a throwaway."
The moonsault off the birdcage.
That was pretty sick.
That was awesome. But still hardly a reaction. He was even super close to hitting the other cage that was there as well.
I think one mistake that was made was to start the match off with Flo versus Jack. I think you had an opportunity to create some comedy with the wrestlers inside that cage. So if you got Emilio and Colin and Midday Rocker cowering in the corner the whole time, that's not so fun. If you had, say, Emilio out first with Jack, and you had Mojo, Colin, and Midday Rocker, the three of them in the cage, just fighting each other the whole time, I think that would have been quite funny. And then once the buzzer goes for the next person to come out, they're already fucked up. I just thought that might be a bit of an opportunity at comedy that didn't end up getting to take place. And I think this match should have either been balls to the wall, amazing cruiserweight championship match or complete comedy. It couldn't. It just having a bit of both. I think it just wasn't consumed by our viewers at the time very well, and they just didn't take it seriously, unfortunately. But I will say, good efforts to Jack and a good promo after the match with him and Monet, and
Lyla.
of course, Lyla coming out and doing some more good mic work. And I'll say this, Lyla, very well done on omitting the notepad. You don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I've gotten rid of my training wheels now. So.
Excellent. And that's what comes with practicing promos. Every time you do it, you get better and better. So very well done.
I might also chime in one last little bit.
Yes.
With the music side of this, because I was doing music, if you guys have a certain order of people coming out during the match, how about tell me instead of me accidentally playing the LWO theme and then Midday Rocker having to come out?
Exactly.
Like, not telling me the order, yelling at me, and I'm just there being like, what the fuck, dickheads? Like, you didn't say shit
And that
to
was
me.
my bad, because I told you just play Emilio's theme. I didn't know what the plan was.
Yeah.
It's like before
you need to tell like the music guy these kind of things so they would know. So there isn't a mistake like that. But
It's
that's
like-
just nitpicky. Also, cheers for letting me have a breath with all the pinfalls and announcing who the current champion is.
That was my favourite part of the match.
That was hilarious. Like, I would be like, Jack Wallace is the current champion. Before I even finish the sentence, Mojo floated to pinfall. I have to say the next thing. And then you just hear me, you literally can hear me, like, snickering, like, over the microphone as the next one happens. It's great.
It was almost 2 falls by the time
Yeah.
they announced one. So it was really funny.
It's like, and to cap it off as well, I mean, we talked about this last time, guys. You know, if you're going to do something like this, anything on the show that has the potential to become a clusterfuck, you need to get together and discuss it, or else it's gonna be shit. You know, it doesn't have the potential to be the best that it can be if there's no discussion put into it at all. You can't just go, let's not plan anything and then just hope that it turns out amazing so you can pat yourselves on the back afterwards. You can't leave all that stuff to chance. If there had been even a 5-minute discussion before the match, laying out a basic plan, this thing could have been like 50% better than it was.
I think they did try and plan stuff.
Oh, well, if they did...
Like, I remember seeing them huddled around trying to plan stuff, so... I don't know, look, let's just put a bow on it. Put a bow on it, and we'll move on to the next match. Which was...
Deacon Whalen versus Luke Monet.
Deacon Whalen versus Luke Monet. So this is another example of why this show wasn't a dud, because there were plenty of great matches on this show, and this was certainly one of them. First time they've ever had a one-on-one match, and I think it was hard-hitting. It looked like a fight. That's what wrestling is.
That's what
It looks
wrestling's
like a
meant to
fight.
be. It's supposed to look like a fight.
A fight.
Two people fighting each other.
Exactly.
Punching each
That's
other.
the point of
You're
it.
supposed to try and
That's the
win the
point.
match. You're meant
It
to try
looks
and beat
real.
the other person.
It looks
it
like
has
a
to
fight.
look real.
That's the point.
It's supposed to be a fight. Do you
Oh,
understand?
wait, you
A
know
fight.
what, actually? If you want to watch a fight, just watch UFC.
Yeah,
mate.
let's
Wrestling's
just
evolved.
fuck wrestling.
Wrestling's
fuck
evolved.
wrestling, right? That doesn't need to look like a fight.
Yeah,
Idiots.
suck my dick.
Idiots.
Alright, so,
Yay, wrestling.
this was a great little contest. Big Red.
I ref this match. This was great. I love having the ref like especially when the match is like really like if you have two guys and they have like a real chemistry in there, and like you kind of just like know it's going to be like, I can't even get my fucking words out. But anyway, being like best seat in the house for this match, these guys did such a good job. Like the reversals into like the going for the Deacon DDT or whatever you call it, and he spins out into the Blue Thunder. That was great. Having Aries involved, like even it was the littlest thing, like just tripping Monet out. It got such a huge reaction from the crowd. Then Deacon immediately capitalizing, going for a submission. Deacon, using the finger snap. That was great. You doing the he did that to perfection. Doing the check using his arms. That was done very well. Nothing really to nitpick on this. The strikes are good. The finishing sequence was also played to perfection. The countering the Deacon dog into the gyro into the what's it called, crossroads. Very well done.
Very good. DJ?
I mean, yeah, I'll just basically echo them sentiments that you guys just said. This match is a perfect example, fellas, of how a 10-minute conversation, 5-10-minute conversation, combined with just feeling it when you get out there, can result in an amazing match. You know, you could tell a lot of the time that they were just going with the flow, feeling what they felt at the time, and adjusting the match accordingly, but you could also tell conversely that there was the broad strokes of the match had been laid out, and that made all the difference in the world, and it resulted in hard hitting, check, great psychology, check, fast pace, check, good flow, check, no problems with this match at all. This was another great match, and I think it's a real good example once again of how a great match should be.
And good to see Monet and Deacon back in fine form, I will say.
Especially Deacon as well, really been impressive.
As Deacon didn't even have a match at Battlefield Brawl, so good to see him get out there and have a solid contest. Right, yeah, well, I haven't got much else to say. The only thing is I forgot probably to tell Deacon and Aries to make sure that they cut the promo that they were supposed to cut before the match. But that's okay. There are a lot of promos in this show, so we don't need to worry about that too much. But we can always catch up on it next event. So after that, Big Red.
After that, we had Steel Kemsley versus Antilochus, and it turned into a hardcore match.
Yes, well, another highlight of the show. Many people have been saying thus far, possibly match of the show.
I'd say so, without doubt.
This is how you have a hardcore match. This is how it works. Watch what Jacob does in a hardcore match. Steel was out there with the right guy at the right time as well. Steel, once again, 2 shows in a row, hitting it out of the park in a hardcore match. Who would have thought that I would say right here, right now, that Steel's probably in the top 5 in the whole federation at having a hardcore match?
We should start with Ryan, because he made some comments before we came on the air here that I thought really encapsulated why it was a good match.
Go for it.
Well, what I think is, like, with the use of weapons in this match, they used three weapons in the entire bout. A chair, a trash can, and a board across 2 chairs. Honestly, it's all they needed. Even Lily, you said this as well. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you like.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be like overdone with weaponry. Unfortunately, they they destroyed a $50 trash can immediately.
$50, 1 Faymasa,
down the
gone.
down the gurgler.
Thank God the spot looked really good.
It did look like, even though
A
Steel
$50 spot.
Even though Steel did kind of trip up a little bit beforehand, I cut it out of the recap. No worries, Steel. But that was executed really well. There's honestly nothing really to fault.
Zero, zilch,
Yeah.
nada, zip.
I do remember Jacob saying about the Antilla Crusher at the end. Steel, you needed to have your feet up on the second and top rope, not the second and bottom rope. It makes it easier for Jacob to lift you up and perform the move.
That's just inexperience of being on the top rope in that direction. He's used to being the other way.
It's such an awkward, it's a simple move to take if it's just the regular, in the middle of the ring, bam, super easy, because Jacob basically can do all the work. He's such a strong guy, but it's a lot more difficult when it's on the ropes as well. You can see it's kind of awkward, but Jacob again pulling that off to perfection.
Agreed. And just anyone out there who in the next 2 shows you might have a hardcore match, look at this match as the example. That's all you needed in order for it to be a contender for match of the show. I remember a time I had a match with Ice, a hardcore match. All we used was the steel railing, the Telstra sign, steel railing, a chair and a table. That was it. You don't need 500 weapons, which is something that we're going to be getting to in a minute. So, any more further thoughts, or are we done there, DJ?
Yeah, I'll quickly chime in. I've always got something to say. This match, without question, for my personal taste, match of the show. This is possibly Steel's best match of his career. It's a testament to how good Steel's becoming. It's a testament to how good Jacob is. And I think that this was one case where everything that they tried succeeded, and everything that they pulled off was pulled off well. And I think that goes back to Ryan's earlier point, that because they didn't try and do too much with the hardcore, the stuff that they did really looked good. And it made a difference, because by the time they started doing all the other shit surrounding the weapon spots, everyone was like, oh man, Steele's really had his ass kicked by this guy, because, you know, a few really impactful hardcore spots look a lot better than a million different weapon shots that desensitize the audience to the violence.
Yeah.
So I'll just say, all credit in the world to those two guys. This was the gem of the show for me, and I think, like, Jacob especially really deserves a big shout out for taking Steele through that match safely and efficiently, and yeah, great job.
Yep, they pulled it off, and as we all know, it feels great when things get pulled off.
Wanking.
Ryan, what's the next match?
The next match, first time ever, Vincent Graves against Killawatt Kaos.
I need to get a drink.
Alright, so do you want to just...
Vincent Graves, Killawatt
Well,
Kaos. Take
alright.
it away, Kaos, please.
Yeah, I thought this was it was good to finally get to verse Vincent Graves. It's been a while. I've really wanted to wrestle him. Unfortunately, I didn't think this was the best match I could have had. I think both me and Vincent, he did arrive late, and we didn't get to solidify what we were going to do in the ring. It ended up being, clumsy on both of our ends. There was a few times where I, as a guy that's actually got more experience, should have done a better job at leading the match. I was too worried that I wouldn't have Vincent Graves looking as strong if I was putting too much of my input in, and it ended up that, we ended up having a lot of moments where we just kind of clashed and got muddled up. Apart from that, like, he didn't really get gassed or anything for a guy that hasn't wrestled as long as most people. And, apart from that, he did great. There was no sourness on me winning or anything, and, and you know what, I love that we did a bit of rolling. You know, it wasn't your classic brawl all the time, and
for those that don't know, rolling, it's like jiu-jitsu. It's when they actually have a realistic looking grapple for the advantage on the mat.
You know, if you watch UFC, you get a lot.
Or
of
if you watch any of Kurt Angle's matches with Chris Benoit, for example, it's that kind of shit. I know that some of the other people here have a few criticisms for the match, so I'll play devil's advocate. Even though there was some sloppy parts to the match, and there's no denying that, I really enjoyed this match. I actually thought that it was physical. I thought that it actually looked like it was two people trying to beat each other up and trying to win the match. I think that, neither character came out of it looking any worse. Perhaps they didn't come out of it looking much better than they should have, but both guys ended up taking a pretty good beating. Both guys gave a good beating. There was some sloppiness and some clumsiness, especially on Gareth's part, but I can forgive it in this case because I know that Gareth had been having a really hard couple of days, and he really didn't want to even come and wrestle on the show. He only did it out of loyalty to Carl and Kaos. So the fact that he did show up and have really a 10-minute match in the condition that, when he wasn't feeling the best, I think that should be taken into account. Not that I'm making excuses for it not being the best match, but I do think that, it takes guts to go out there when your heart's not really totally in it and still try and do a good job. The leg drops were a little bit sloppy, but I think that there was a lot of good parts of the match too, and the crowd's attitude once again didn't really help it because, if the crowd had have bought into the story that was being told, maybe it wouldn't have come off the way that it did. But that's just my opinion. I don't think it was a perfect match. I think that it definitely could have been better, but I think, I don't think it was all bad either. I really enjoyed watching it, and I was at ringside, so I was looking at it from a pretty good viewpoint as well.
Gotcha. Well, I don't know what match you watched, because that's not the same match that I watched. I know that Gareth must have been having a hard few days, and I understand. That's, it sucks when you got to go out there and have a match and you're really not in the mood. I mean, that happened to me a while ago when Dan Zeppelin won the World Hardcore title, and John and Nick had upset me that day, so I wasn't going to have a proper match. So I know how that can feel. But at the same time, I booked this match specifically so Kaos and Gareth would have that match that they could look back on as mates and say, hey, remember that time you and I went out there and tore the house down? That's what I wanted. A match that tore the house down, because I know what Gareth's capable of. I know what Kaos is capable of. But, Kaos, you said yourself that Gareth said to you before the match that you didn't want to bump.
Yeah.
You can't go into a match and say you don't want to bump and expect it to be anything decent. I was in the crowd and Blade turned to me at one stage and said this match isn't going so great. I could hear Mitch groaning each and every step of the way. When the match ended, Zibby turned to me and said, thank God that's over. Like, it's not just my opinion, it's the opinion of many people that have been doing it for quite some time who know what both guys are actually capable of.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't all have to agree on everything all the time. You know, maybe because the two of them are my friends, I'm a little bit biased and I don't want to see some of the faults in the match.
They're my friends too, and Kaos is right here, and I told him
the
other night on chat what I thought was wrong with the match.
I saw the faults, but I from my viewpoint...
Too many faults to make any of the positives mean shit. And I know he wasn't probably in the mood to wrestle, and I understand, but at the same time, you got to go out there and really, 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 really give it your all, especially when you got someone like Kaos who really wants to prove himself and have a good match, because the guy he's currently feuding with didn't even show up. But, you know, just simple things like taking a spear and folding forward instead of walking to the spear and bumping it properly. It was just sloppy. The leg drop was really just, it looked really bad. It looked like the kind of leg drop that I would give in 2002, like when I was a teenager, I was a kid. And I know, and I only say these things, Gareth, if you're listening, because I know what you're actually capable of. I know that the match you had with Steel was absolutely incredible. So I would have thought, knowing that you were going against Kaos, your old mate that you've been great friends with, and I would have thought you would have gone out there, let's fucking do this, bro, balls to the wall, let's do it. So I was really disappointed in the lack of enthusiasm. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes with him, but I was disappointed in the lack of enthusiasm. I was disappointed in the lack of effort to make sure that this match came off well. I wanted a great powerhouse versus powerhouse match. I wanted to see Kaos go for that spear, and all of a sudden he hits the graveyard smash out of nowhere in the middle of him going for that spear. Or instead of that, maybe a big boot, and then Gareth calls for the graveyard smash. Kaos slips behind, manages to lock in the choke out. And another thing, guys, stop using the rear naked choke. Kaos does the choke out. It's his move. Stop doing it. About 5 different people used it this show.
Seems like whenever Kaos thinks of a move, 10 other people fucking steal it, you know?
Exactly.
Like, he has the gore, and yeah, that's a pretty basic move, but guess what? Kaos is a big guy. It makes sense when Kaos does the gore. Yeah, Kaos does the Chaos Theory, and like, I used to do the same move, the mic check, but I don't really use it anymore now that Kaos uses it, because it's just a respect thing. It's just to make it look more special when he does the move. I know that we might have some like Samoa Joe marks in WZWA. We might have some UFC fans, but if you do like a crossface chicken wing or any kind of grapevined move where you're on your back and they're on top of you and you're doing the submission, it looks too similar to Kaos's move, and he's really been trying to get it over since he began his anti-hardcore thing, really. And not to seem like I'm having a go, but really I just think if Kaos did like the fucking Crash and Burn or the Antilla Crusher, I know that those guys would be pissed off that Kaos used the move when he didn't have to. So in future, I think we should all take that into consideration and try and just show a bit of respect for each other's movesets. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yes. Ryan, did you want to add any thoughts to this match? Look,
Yeah, I was going to say I'm about to chime in yet.
like I feel like I try to make my point there. I'm not sure if I just went around in circles, but I just wasn't happy with it because I knew what I envisioned the match to be, and it was the complete opposite. So.
Well, I'd say fault-wise, you guys have already talked all about that, so you're basically taking the words out of my mouth. So I'm just going to talk about the positives that I saw in the match. Was that it was different? It was I liked how it was different to see how these two guys, these two big dudes, they had to change it up a bit because of the idea of them being maybe more powerful or just as powerful as each of them. That they them as GJ said, them making it look out into an all-out brawl, trying to get as technical as they can. I think another thing I hated because I was reffing this match. Another match I reffed, I was fucking annoyed again because of the crowd because I know Kaos, I know you're the kind of guy who you feed off the crowd energy so you can do more and more. So the more people react, the more you'll react with it, and then it can turn into
can flow more.
It can flow more,
and you're more.
I work with the energy. I work
exactly,
with
working with energy. That's what most of us get out of it. Mykonos is the same.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no,
I just want to say one thing because Ryan just brought it to my attention. Yeah. Not that I'm excusing the faults that were in the match once again, but if a couple of those earlier moves had have gotten a nice pop from the crowd, maybe it would have changed the whole outcome of the match. Maybe it would have changed the whole complexion, because if you sometimes, and I know this from experience, if you're having a shit match and you get a couple of good pops from the crowd and you think, oh, maybe this is actually going pretty well, it motivates you to pick up your steam a bit more and switch gears and put on a much better match than you otherwise might have, because you know that the crowd's actually invested in what you're doing.
Anyway, look, let's put a bow on it. Basically, Gareth, if you are listening, I don't know if he does listen to these.
I don't know.
But, overall, I just expected a better match from you two, that's all. And you know how I feel. And, and look, your promo after the match was very good, so, we kind of forgot about what happened in the match because of a nice little promo that you cut on Alex, who unfortunately was unable to appear. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. Next, Ryan.
Brandon Cage, Clyde, whatever character he was, I'm assuming it was Brandon Cage.
It was Brandon Cage
going up against Steele in basically an open challenge to the Backyard Championship.
Okay, so as we know, Dan Zeppelin could not make the show. I think he had some sort of work commitment, so we had to think on our feet of a replacement for him.
Hashtag yachting problems.
Yep. Brendan suggested Steele.
Can I just chime in one thing? At this point in the show, because we said earlier in the beginning rant about having to ask people to, if they want to do their match and they make a snide comment and not want to, go on. Originally, I had asked, because I had noticed Carl was feeling a bit upset and you wanted because of the time constraints and the rolling around. Originally, I had, and I will name drop, fuck it. I went up to Kyle and Phoenix, who were, they were good. They were playing the match over and over. And I asked them, can they go next? And straight up, they looked at each other and oh, can we go the match after? Knowing there's time constraints. And
everybody,
luckily, thankfully, Brandon and Steele decided to go, even though Steele had done had a break in between, maybe one match, was it?
Yeah. And if anything, not having to go at Phoenix and Kyle here, but if anything, if anyone needed the little extra time to plan their match, it would have been those two.
Yeah.
Because there's not really a person in that match combination that can lead the match, and Steele had already just gotten fucked up in the previous match. So I agree with Ryan wholeheartedly there, and I think also, as much as I love everybody, it is a little bit, and I'm probably as guilty of it as anyone. I'm not saying that I'm above it all, but I do think that it is a bit inappropriate for people to kind of just go, no, I can't be fucked going on yet. Let's go on the match after this next match. Or sometimes there isn't a next match. Sometimes yours needs to be the next match. That's why you're being asked to do it. somebody has to take that bullet and go on, or else the show will never get done.
But it's not just that. It's also when I ask people, can you referee or can you film the next match? And I get the eye rolling. And I get the, oh, really? Brandon said it to me when I asked him to film a match. He went, oh, really? And it's just like, you know, and after that I was just like, forget about it. And I got Ice to film, I don't know, the 5th match in a row that he filmed, because he filmed all bloody day for us. Some other people took it in turns, but Ice did a lot of filming. And it's just like, bro, if I ask you to do something, please just say sure, no problem. Help us all out, because Ryan can't do everything. You know, we got someone on music, someone as a referee, someone filming. We got to rotate it, because some people don't even do any of them. They seem to just fly under the radar when it comes to that shit. But we all got to share it around, because it's not fucking fair. And it holds up the way that we start the next match. We need a fucking referee. Can someone put their hand up? How many times do I walk out in the backyard and say, we need a referee, we need a cameraman? And no one fucking says anything. What should be happening is 5 people go, yeah, I'll referee, or yeah, I'll film. So why does it fucking happen every time? It pisses me off, and it insults me. It insults everyone that does work hard at the shows in other aspects other than the wrestling. I know when I ask you, Kaos, can you referee? Sure. I ask Ice, can you film? Sure. Ryan, can you film this match? Sure. Mitch, can you go on music? No problem. So if there's anyone out there that rolls their eyes at me next time, I'm going to actually then force you to do it and say, get up there, fucking put the referee shirt on and fucking do it. Because it's not fair on anyone else.
And if I may just chime in, because we did talk about how, like, you know, me and Ryan will, like, you ask for assistance, or we'll take assistance, and of course these snide comments and that. I'm just gonna say now, like, me and Ryan can be fucking dickheads if we want it.
Like, we can only be if you get us, me or Chaos, or someone like, you know, who's like extremely nice to you, like, all the time. If you get us to be like to a point where we're fuming and we're angry and we're fucking like mad at you, it's because you fucking deserve it.
Yeah. And that's it.
These aren't people who are like, well, Chaos is a little crazy sometimes, but these are people that are actually level-headed human beings. So if they're actually annoyed at you because of the way that you're talking to them, or the way that you're reacting to them asking you to do something, then actually you're the problem, okay?
Yeah, I mean, adding to that, like, usually if people like Ryan or Blade are upset, that to me is the marker to say, you know, something's not right here. I mean, and, you know, I just came out back from the toilet. I don't actually know what that was stemming from, but, you know.
Just them trying to help me get people ready to do the next match. Just like, or help them run the show, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even sometimes, like, I've tried to do it. Sometimes you'll walk up to a group of people and go, like, guys, get in your gear, and everyone will just look at you and just not do anything. It's like, do they think we're just trying to tell them this shit because we want to be the boss of them? That's not true. We're trying to get everything moving, like, for the sake of the whole group, for the betterment of the entire overall show.
And I was making a point of, like, you know, when I go out there and say I need a referee or I need a cameraman, and no one puts their hand up, everyone goes quiet. And it's like, just fucking put your hand up and help out. Stop it.
Yeah, well, anyway, I think we've gone on long enough about this. So on to the actual match, Brandon Steele. I'll chime in. Because, I thought,
Actually, can I say one thing?
Yeah, go on.
I don't understand this heel Brandon Cage. Clyde is the heel. Brandon Cage is the babyface. The heel has taken over the body of Brandon Cage. It's his second personality. He's got a split personality. Why is Brandon Cage a heel? It makes no sense. Why, if that's the case, then if he's now a heel, then can we please get an explanation why? I'm the booker of the thing, and I don't even know what the hell's going on. So I'm expecting answers on the microphone. I'm expecting Clyde the Creep to come out. I don't know where Clyde has gone. There's been no explanation where Clyde is, why he's not acting like Clyde, why he's not acting homoerotic. Like, it's not been happening in the last 2 shows. I don't get it. I don't get why Brandon Cage is a heel. Because Brandon Cage was saying, Clyde, you will not consume me, etc., etc., several events ago. So why is it now Brandon Cage is a bit cocky and a bit arrogant about things? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. That's where I'm losing the character now, because beforehand, Clyde was one of the most entertaining characters on the show and everyone was looking forward to what he would do next. Now that Brandon Cage is back, I don't understand the character. Brian.
Yeah. As I was saying, this match, it was good. Like some of the, I think some of the strikes are a bit in it. Still, had second match of the day. He still was rolling off the momentum he had in the earlier match. So that was done really well. Hitting his moves. I will say that even I've got to mention the Swanton, because even though it looked brutal and it was he did the motion good, it was really unsafe how Steel was positioned, because he needs to be so you land basically like a cross, not basically landing on top of him
Crush him.
Parallel.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what happened, and that's all I can say. It was just a little bit unsafe, but still insane. You look like you almost you look like you're gonna fucking break your neck, Brandon.
It was an incredible move.
Incredible move.
But it was executed unsafely.
Yeah, exactly. And going on, the ref bump, the Steel hitting the still countering the Clyde effect, that was good, because it's been put over Steel getting dropped by this move, and then finally he counters out of it, and then bam, and then he could win this, but then there's the that added aspect of the referee being knocked out.
Well, cool. This is the third match with the ref bump.
Yeah.
And I don't believe I said anything about a ref bump in this match. Steel had already gone through a match. He throws out the open challenge. Steel accepts. It should have been pretty easy for the way that the match was supposed to end.
Yeah.
Referee so the crowd counted 3. Steel thought he had won the match. Someone, for some reason, had taken the backyard title away from the ring. That's why it got a bit awkward there.
Yeah, because Steel got out of the ring and he just walked over to the crowd. It's okay, what's he doing? He picks up the backyard title, puts it on his shoulder. It's okay, what? I didn't really get what was going on. Because it's supposed to just be in the corner. He's supposed to think he won because he had the 3 count. He grabs the title, holds it up. Made it super awkward that he had to roll all the way out of the ring, walk over to the table, grab the belt, come back, and then get in the ring and then act like he's won. I know you guys will chime on this, but with the Steel did the whole acting like it was. Just the look, looking out to the crowd, then slowly looking down at the referee. That was cool. I love that. Just those little things, just that character.
So unfortunately, I don't think the crowd understood what was going on.
Yeah. But I think you guys will chime in on this. The actual end of the match, Steel turning around and Brandon hitting a move that he's never done before, never established.
Probably will never do again.
Probably won't. Yeah, exactly. Probably won't do again.
Why wouldn't you do the Clyde effect?
Why not do the move that I said before? He's hit it. He's hit it on Steel before, and he's got it established. He's got it over. It's over move.
Yeah.
People will see that. It's all right. It's done. And yeah. That's basically all I can really say about it. Really. It was it's still a decent match, but
it was good. But it's just there were just things in there that were so confusing that it took away from how good the match actually was, and it should have just been a Clyde effect 1, 2, 3. There's no reason to bring out a new move, the F5, because you're not going to hit it again, and you've already established this other finisher. So,
well, all right. I know we're going to want to try and wrap this podcast up pretty quickly. We're about at an hour and 10, so we don't have much longer left.
Fuck, a bit longer. Oh god.
There's a lot of things to this match. My biggest problem with it was really the actual competitiveness, and the length of the match didn't seem appropriate considering that Steel had just gone through this hell of a match. And I know Jacob actually mentioned to me, that he wishes that it wasn't such a competitive match because it kind of undermined all the damage that his character did to Steel, only 20 minutes before or something when their match took place. So that was one thing that I did notice, and I sympathise with Jacob because I'm big on psychology. It's
and I apologise to him over it.
Yeah, and it's like when I wrestled Three Dog at Resolution, and he never bumped once, and then the next match, Clint Marshall was like throwing Three Dog around like he was half the size. So I kind of see where Jacob was coming from. Ryan's already mentioned the Swanton. The landing was just as dangerous as the actual execution of it. It did look cool. I don't want to have a go at Brandon every time he tries to do something, but I wish that he might have practiced that a little bit before he'd actually gone and tried to execute it, just to clean it up a little bit. I didn't really have a problem with any of the moves in the match. My main problem is the same as the other guys with the actual finish. It irked me a bit that the F5 was the finisher. If he had have just busted out a F5 in the middle of the match, I don't think anyone would have minded so much because it just would have been a move in the match. Like, it's not like anyone uses that move as a finisher, so if he had have done it mid-match, who really cares? They're the same sort of size. Brandon can probably throw someone Steel's size around. But the fact that it was used as a finisher really made no sense. It just really looked like he did that move for the fuck of it. So, no real major faults in the match. I do think that it's just another case, once again, like echoing the previous podcast, that these things sometimes just need to be thought through a little bit more. And if you put that little bit of thought into things that you do, these kind of little niggling criticisms that we have to give on these podcasts wouldn't even exist, because they'd never even become a problem in the first place if there was just a bit more foresight given to what we're going to do before we do it. So,
good call. Put a bow on that one. Big Red, what's next?
The next one is the GBYWN World Hardcore Championship clearance sale hardcore match.
Alright, well, I'll take
As
this
you
one.
called it, Carl.
I'll take this one.
Go for it.
Well, we saw the hardcore match early in the show between Antilochus and Steel Kemsley. That's how you have a hardcore match. This one, pretty much the opposite. As soon as the match went to the outside, that's when it went downhill. It was on the outside for way too long. I think some of the moves that were hit in the ring beforehand and the stuff that happened beforehand was cool, but there were a lot of weapons being used that weren't breaking, like the ones that had been set up in the corner turnbuckles. Nothing was breaking. But the stuff in the ring beforehand, that was fine. It was off to a bit of a nice little start there. But honestly, it just turned into a trash bag hardcore match. A trashy hardcore match from that you would expect from people that had only had one or two beforehand, not several years experience in doing it. I don't know what the main problem was with it. I don't know who was in control of what, but knowing what Kyle's capable of, knowing what Phoenix is capable of, it was a cluster. And I described it as an abortion on the car ride home. It felt like it was an abortion of a match, and a lot of that has to do with just some of that stuff on the outside, especially that attempted swanton off the top of the shed, and then it went to the middle of the ladder, and obviously the piece of wood that was being used as the table was too low to the ground, and it was too thick. Some of the weapons that were used shouldn't have been used. You only need, as we said, maybe 2 or 3 weapons: a table, a chair, a trash can. If you want to insert a couple more tables, go for it. If it doesn't take too long to set up, but some of the spots took too long to set up, and some of the execution of the big high spots was shit, and it took so much away from what was supposed to be a great contest between Kyle and Phoenix. And Kyle didn't do any dives, stuff that we would expect to see. I don't know, just a lot of shit was very unsafe. The fall away slam with the step ladder, very unsafe, and it pissed people off to see it be executed because it was so unsafe looking, and Kyle could have got hurt from it because it was thrown so hard. And I was a bit disappointed in the match, I guess you could say. Well, not a bit. I was very disappointed in the match because to me, this was like almost the
Funk Foley.
a big final match in the era of hardcore wrestling in WA between two hardcore guys that hadn't wrestled before. There's no one else. They've all wrestled one another. Dan's wrestled Kyle. Kaos has wrestled Kyle. Kaos has wrestled Ice. Ice has wrestled Dan. You know, all those hardcore guys over the years, they've all worked with one another, and this was the final one, and I really wanted it to be capped off really well, but it was just so messy and dangerous, and it didn't have any flow to it, and it was just like one move gets hit, no sell, back up, fighting again, another move gets hit, or they miss the move through a table or whatever, they're back up 10 seconds later, there was no selling. Why would anyone be emotionally invested in the match if the selling sucks? And I can't even remember the finish of the match. I think it was a superplex through a table or something.
It was
like that.
like a Phoenix had him up in the corner like a fireman's carry, and then kind of lifted him up and then like into a superplex through the.
Got ya.
Or something like a Death Valley Driver. I'm not sure.
Like I don't know. It was just a bit of an underwhelming match, and it was dangerous, and that's really all I got to say.
Alright, so
someone else take the reins here.
So I'm going to try to choose my words carefully, because I know that, Phoenix has probably heard a lot of times different people having some criticisms about working with him. I'm not one of those people. I worked with Phoenix at ICWS recently. The review show will be coming up soon. I had a great time working with him. But I will say this. First point, just because Phoenix does not care about his own safety when it comes to executing moves, that doesn't mean that everyone else doesn't care about his safety. You know, he's our friend. We don't want to see him get hurt, and just because he has no regard for his own safety, pulling off something, that doesn't mean that everyone else feels the same. And so a lot of the time, if he goes and pulls out these big risky moves, you're not going to get the big pop that you expect, because everyone's too worried about you getting hurt, you know?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
so that's one big thing.
Like when people first got a glimpse of him when he at that resolution match with Frito, when he first did the dive off the top of the thing, we're like, holy shit, this guy's like out of his fucking mind. And then like just carrying on throughout the year, it's like, oh god, like please don't do something hectic. We don't want you to go to the fucking hospital again.
Yeah. And you know, like the second thing was, I've noticed that the last few times Kyle's had a hardcore match, Kyle's been getting hurt. Little things like moves not landing quite correctly. Kyle will hit his leg on something, or Kyle will land hard or take a hard strike and it'll injure him. We don't want to see you guys get injured. So the lack of safety, or the perceived lack of safety at least, was a big reason why this match seems to have fallen flat and why Kyle is disappointed in it. Second thing, as much as I love both of you guys, the amount of time that it took you guys to set this match up and the time that it took to clean it up afterwards was not worth the actual match itself. There was a lot of time that went into you guys talking about the match, planning it, and then setting up all the weapons, and then it just kind of seemed underwhelming when the actual match happened, and it was like, well, that was a big wait without a huge payoff. Again, it probably seems like a dig. If anyone's listening to this thinking that we're starting to have a bit of a go because we're being more critical than we have been in the past, well, you're right, we are being more critical because it's been 5 years, you've all been wrestling for a long time, a lot of us have been wrestling even longer than 5 years, and it's getting to the point now where the Fed is finishing up and not having a good show is not an option. It's not like we can just have a bad show and just write it off and say, well, we've got another fucking 6 shows this year to do. We don't have that luxury anymore. Everyone needs to be on their A game. If you're not on your A game, you need to get on it. Huge thing. The Swanton Bomb thing off of the top of the roof. I actually understood what the deal was as far as story went, because I know that Phoenix was obviously playing off of all of our feelings that sometimes he goes a bit overboard, and so it was the whole thing of like, we're sitting there, we're looking at Kyle on this shoddily put together table with a big thick board, that the board's really close to the ground, and if he jumps on him and lands on him, there's not going to be much give provided by the table, so it's going to be fucked up. So I actually understood what the story or the psychological reasoning behind that spot was. The problem was, it could have gone for half as long as that and been just as effective.
He was supposed to jump off.
He was going to jump off.
He was going to jump off.
And Carl's going to move.
He had the spot set up too close to the shed, so instead of doing a dive and kind of like on an angle, he would have done a dive and gone straight down.
Yeah. So I mean that kind of thing. It's just like we've been saying before. Foresight. You got to think these things through. I do think that the match itself probably would have been a lot better if there had have been a bit more consideration put into the actual stuff that was executed in the ring. Kyle does a sling blade. He doesn't really grab him. It's not really a very forceful sling blade. He didn't look like he was in control of the move. The bump itself was a bit wishy-washy. You know, I feel bad because I'm just slinging criticisms, but you know, I am more of a purist when it comes to wrestling, and I do have higher expectations for hardcore matches because if you're going to do them, they need to be done right. If you want to impress somebody like myself or Mykonos or Ryan with a hardcore match, they have to be done right because...
And if I can... Sorry, can I add in?
Of course.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, as my perspective, I love a good hardcore match than anyone. Like, I really get into it, but I don't want to have to watch it and cringe for their safety. Just to touch up on what most of you guys have said as well. Like, I want to be able to enjoy it, be like, oh shit, yeah, that must have hurt, but like, fuck, you know, they're all good. But to actually cringe, like, fuck, is he going to the hospital after this? Like, is he...
Yeah.
I don't want to have to, like, sit there and be like, oh, you know, maybe you should... I don't know, I think you just got to be more careful of how you do things and, just, you know, put a bit more consideration into, like,
Each other's safety.
yourself and, your partner.
Yeah.
Or even people around you. Like, what if, you know, you throw a weapon at, you know, could have hit the birdcage, could have hit anyone. You just got to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said,
it's just people's safety,
Yeah.
you know, and we've had 100 hardcore matches over the years, and we know what's safe and what isn't safe, and this wasn't a safe match, and it didn't flow. You were on the outside too long.
You know, and it's
But you look at the recap, some of the stuff that was hit did look pretty good, but there was just too many things being implemented in the match, too many weapons.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here and I'm frustrated that I don't have more good things to say about the match because I love both guys. But the fact of the matter is, if we all just pretend that these faults weren't there, then how are you guys going to learn? You know, it's just these things need to be said. Everyone says they wanted us to give more concrete criticisms when things weren't quite right on the shows, and so that's what we're doing. I just I'm really thankful that nobody got hurt. I think that there were a lot of portions of the match that was entertaining. I just think as an overall piece of performance, there was a bit lacking because I don't think that the audience's expectations and the performers' perception of that audience were aligned, and therefore that's what leads to the gap between what they did and how everyone felt about it.
All right. Well, after the match, obviously Phoenix got inducted into the Hall of Fame, so
Which was sick.
It wasn't a good match, but I think the Hall of Fame thing kind of made everyone forget about the fact the match wasn't so good. So you know, he does deserve it. He's put his body on the line now for, you know, over nearly the same amount as me. I think he has been doing it since 1999 or something. So he's been wrestling for a long time. He's wrestled in every single backyard fed except for ETW. That, you know, the feds that really some of the top ones that you think of when you think of WA backyard wrestling. He's been there for a long time. He's put his body on the line time and time again, and he's a veteran. And
congratulations to him.
Definitely.
You know?
And you know, he was never appreciated anywhere else, but he is appreciated in WZWA.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. And you know, it feels weird actually having to be critical of a match and then going to congratulate him for his induction. But the fact of the matter is, the match wasn't really important. What's important is that Phoenix has his rightful place in the Hall of Fame recognized for all the good that he has brought to wrestling. And I think that it's a shame that the match didn't quite go how we all probably would have wanted it. But it's not a perfect world, and I've still got a couple more shows to rectify that situation. So,
Certainly.
Hopefully onward and upward.
Cool. And then I guess we get to our main event. No, sorry.
Wrong. You've got
we don't.
JD
It's JD
versus
Flame
DJ.
versus Daniel
All
Johnston.
right, I guess I would just quickly, field this one. So, unfortunately, Alex was unable to attend the show. I had no sleep the night before the show, literally no sleep. And the longer that the day wore on, the more and more lethargic and difficult it was going to be for me to actually compete in a match. And then when Justin, who was the prospective replacement, arrived, he had also just come from work, and he was in no real mood to put on a full-on match. So we arranged a little segment with Carl that would get both of our feuds over. We go to start the match off, and it actually kind of makes me feel bad, because when we did start the match, it seemed like the crowd was actually into it. But JD cut his little promo, furthering his angle with Clint Marshall. I showed up and accepted a match against him. Right as the match is about to begin, Rex Regum comes out, distracts me, I turn around, cutter, 1, 2, 3. Rex Regum comes in the ring, cuts a little promo on me, furthering our angle for resolution. Not really, the ideal way to spend a show for me, but I'm glad that the segment was, pretty decent, short, sweet, got its point across. And, it was fun having a little tussle with Justin again, even if it was just a little bit. So yeah, despite the fact that I didn't really have a match, I'm still pretty happy with how that went. So no complaints from me, and I think that Chris did a really good job with his promos. Justin did a really good job with his promo, getting his angle over. So yeah, I really think that it all just worked out for the best. It's really a shame that Alex couldn't arrive at the show. I love you, buddy, but I am a little disappointed. Not that you didn't show up, but just because I didn't get any kind of notification that you weren't going to be arriving. I was really excited for the match. I've been looking forward to it for a long, long time, and I had a lot of great ideas for the match, and unfortunately I didn't get to do any of them at this show because you couldn't arrive. So, if you had a good reason for not attending, that's fair enough, but I wish that maybe you could have sent a message to me, not just to Carl, because I was supposed to be your opponent and I didn't end up getting to have the match that I wanted to have. So yeah, it's a shame, but I'm hoping that at the next event we can rectify that problem and have the great match that I think everyone would be keen to see.
Excellent. Do you have anything to add?
Well, I'm sorry, I popped off to the...
DJ versus JD Flame.
Alright, so JD Flame. Well, I wish I actually saw a bit more of that match, because, that would have been really sick to see, but of course everything going on, we had to get the show rolling, and somewhat it could have been a blessing in disguise that we had this really short, simple thing. My biggest thing, it was quite upsetting not to see Alex. It would have been a great match to see DJ versus Alex. And man, we really missed you, dude. And there was something supposed to happen between you and I, so a bit upsetting that. Yeah.
It is upsetting when people can't show up because Dan couldn't be there, and that puts a dent in the feud that's supposed to be going on with him for the SPWS Championship. No spoilers to be given there. But that storyline hasn't kicked off, and now I know he's actually not going to be able to make the next show because he'll be in Melbourne, so we are now really far behind on that storyline, which should have, it needed those two shows to really make the match that it's got at Resolution as important as everyone else's, and Alex not showing up to this show certainly doesn't help with yours, but I know we can rectify it, especially if we get shit done outside of the WZWA and at home, on your phones, recording promos, building it up through content with you guys just talking shit about each other.
Is it cool if I just say something about
Sure.
It's not like I don't really get too angry at anyone or anything, but man, it's SPWS. Like me and Luke started it, and it may have not had a big following or like many events, but you're holding the SPWS title. You represent all three of us at the moment as SPWS, and it just would have been sweet to see that play a lot more in WZWA. And you've got the title, man. We really want you to bring it up and represent it well, because out of everyone right now, you're the best fit for it. So it was a bit disappointing, but I still love you, and I can't wait to see what would happen and how you can maybe rectify this, and I'm sure you've got something good up your sleeve to make up for?
Well, hopefully we can figure out something, because it would certainly be a shame if we cannot come up with something to make up for lost time. Right, so we got to our main event now.
Yeah.
Clint Marshall, Mykonos.
Well,
Number one contendership for the heavyweight championship.
Well, I'll turn in because I wasn't actually there for the match, but I did get to see the footage. I thought it was a really good match. I think maybe like one nitpick thing is that during the match, Mitch was working the body part, working the leg, the knee. Got to maybe first, let's say, eight or so minutes into the match, and Mitch puts on the figure four, and then later on, Zibby is it's like Zibby's like fully recovered. In my opinion, I thought like he could have like sold the knee a bit more, like going for moves like the power moves he was doing. Like he would say when he goes for catches him in the crossbody off the ropes, he could just kind of stumble a little bit, then get back up and work it, and then hit the next move. Or as he's lifting him for something, his knee can give out. Just those little nitpicks. And also knowing what was the go for the end sequence as well. But I know Carl will chime in on that.
I spoke to Mitch about it. And
yep. I think overall, Mitch, and this is a good. I'd say last match for Mitch and Zibby. Wish I could actually be there in person to see it. Good epic boys, and awesome stuff by Blade and Zibby and JD with the post match stuff. That went a lot better than I had envisioned it when we had planned it out for booking and stuff. So that was really good.
Yeah. I guess I really enjoyed the main event. I thought it was awesome, and it was just the main event that I was hoping for between the two of them. But I don't know what it was like, because I interfered in the match, and I guess I don't know why I felt like the finish should have been after my super kick. But then when I think about it, maybe because Mykonos had just pedigreed Clint Marshall, and now I've super kicked Mykonos. They're on a level playing ground. They're playing ground, is that the word?
Yeah.
And
I think it's playing field.
Playing field,
yeah.
sorry, not playing ground, playing field. Yeah. But because Mykonos was hit with a move after Clint Marshall had been hit, Clint Marshall would recover before Mykonos does. So I do understand a supernova being taken place afterward. But was there an axe kick?
There was an axe kick and then the supernova.
Okay, well, I would have left out the axe kick and I would have just done the supernova. Or I would have had the axe kick be the finish, because, super kick's one of my main moves. But look, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. That was the finish. I guess there was a bit of communication breakdown, as we talked about for the last event's review. Mitch wasn't aware there was supposed to be a beatdown ensuing on him from me after the match, which is why it looked a little disjointed when I was hitting him on the outside and I got back in the ring for no fucking reason, because I had to be in the ring for Blade to come out for me to run away. So that bit was a little disjointed, but Justin played his part perfectly, and Zibby and Blade played their parts toward one another perfectly as well. Obviously, Clint Marshall at this point is so paranoid about being attacked post-match, because that's all that's been happening to his character since he's returned. Now he's paranoid about it. He thinks Blade was the one that attacked him, because when JD Flame hit him, he didn't even see who it was. So that was pretty cool. And they played it off well against each other, and that built the heat for the next show, which will be Clint Marshall, Blade Shaw. But DJ, any comments on the match?
I think this was a really good match. Not great, not what I think these two would have been probably capable of doing, but that's not necessarily a negative, because not everyone can have the match of a lifetime every single event. I think that for me, this match was, a really good contrast between Mitch's technical style and Clint's more, Clint's really more of an all-rounder, but his powerhouse style. I think that they worked really well together. You could tell that there was planning put into the match. You could tell that they each knew where they wanted to go. I think that, once again, Mykonos could probably benefit from vocalizing a bit more with his selling and his offense as well. Just, make a little bit more noise, kind of, don't be so stoic when you're doing your stuff in the ring. But I think as far as everything that was done, I was pretty happy with it. I think that there was a good pace to the whole thing. One thing I really hate in backyard wrestling is dead air. That's why you'll always say, whenever I give a good review of a match, I always say there was a good pace, which means no dead air, no fucking around looking like you're lost, no standing around neither person knowing what to do and just making awkward eye contact with each other like they're about to slow dance. None of that shit. I just think that, this was a really good match between really two stalwarts of the ICWS. This for me felt like a bit of a throwback match. It felt like the kind of thing that would have main evented a show, even if it was 5 years ago. This could have been a main event caliber match, and it delivered in that respect. And I really think that Clint Marshall especially did really well building towards the next show. I think all the aftermatch shenanigans went really well. The only thing that I'd have to nitpick at again would be that Mykonos probably bumped Aston's super kick a little bit too early. It's like he was almost halfway down to the mat by the time the foot actually got to where his face was.
Yeah.
Bit of a preemptive bump. And I know that Mitch doesn't do that kind of thing often, which made it pretty noticeable when he actually did do it.
I will say, back in 2013 when we were having our feud then, and every time I've gone for the super kick on him, he has done that same thing every time. So I think it does need to be said, Mitch, you can trust me. Just stay there.
It's just
and I know exactly where to put my foot. You don't need to turn to the side or start bumping too early. Just wait for the clap of the leg and it'll be fine.
And it's a bit of a, it's all it is just a bit of a toe to the face, really.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe Mykonos is too focused on actually trying to do the sell that he wants to do for the super kick.
It's not like taking a super kick from me when I just drive my foot right in your face, but,
But I think with strikes, sometimes it can be a little daunting because there is a little bit of pain involved sometimes. But you got to do it because, like most little things in wrestling, the little things always look the best. So it's very glaring when stuff like that doesn't get pulled off well. You can cover up, like, crossbody that doesn't go so perfectly. You can hide that not being as good as it could have been. But a super kick, that's kind of like you either hit it or you don't. So it's kind of obvious when it doesn't really connect
when I don't
properly.
hit one properly, I fucking hate it.
Yeah,
I look back at it and I'm like, oh, God, I've done it a million times and this one just was shit.
So yeah, no real problems with the match. As I said before, I think that it was really enjoyable. I think Clint Marshall had yet another show where he just delivered a fantastic match. He's been on fire since returning. I think that Mykonos as well can always be counted on for a fantastic match. I'm really disappointed that he and I won't be getting our last match against each other. It's a real shame. I was really excited about it, but it's always a treat to watch Mykonos wrestle. He's a great worker, and I think that showed in this match. So yeah,
tight. Well, that's the show.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Up and down, up and down. It was good in parts.
Hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, not too bad. It's good in parts, lackluster in others. Hopefully no one out there gets too offended. But look, that's the truth. There's many people at this table right now talking about the show, and if we all basically agree with what each other's saying, then maybe there's some merit.
And don't think that just because we're saying all this shit that we think that we're all better than all of you guys. I mean, obviously,
no, because
everyone
has the bad days, everyone has the good days. It varies really.
We may have more experience than some others and stuff like that, but we get criticisms as well, from each other or from we're always kind of open to criticism, and we don't always have great days and stuff like that. I mean, my match against Brandon at the last show I was really unhappy with that match, and I wouldn't be surprised if everybody thought that it was a bit of a shit fest. So, it's just one of those things. We're trying to help when we say these criticisms because you're our friends, and we want to see everybody have the best last run in WZWA that they can. Because
And we're right. Like, everything we say, we are correct on.
we are correct. Like,
We're never wrong. We're never wrong.
If you
It's
object,
crazy.
if
I don't
you,
know how, but we're just
well,
never
I mean,
wrong.
I know that you're joking a bit, but if you actually do objectively look at everything we say, deep down it's the truth. That's just the long and short of it. Is that what we're saying from experience? Because we've had bad matches that don't flow. We've had moves that don't get pulled off correctly. We've had times where we could have planned things better and it didn't work out. So we know, when we're watching it.
Well, to be perfectly honest, DJ, like tonight, like I thought you were wrong most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of.
And
I felt
when you
that as
said
well.
that, like Deacon was overrated, like no,
I never
like,
said he
he's
was overrated.
You said he's overrated. He's
Whoever said that?
If anything,
That
Deacon
conversation
is
didn't
underrated.
even involve me. I saw the conversation on Facebook.
No,
I
you
wasn't
said
even
it.
involved.
You said it, and
I
then
didn't
you
even
said
comment.
you hope Vader dies, and then you.
And DJ, I can't believe you said you would eat Jan Ross's week-old corpse.
Oh, you're an arsehole.
Maybe I like them
And
old
masturbating
sluts.
while you said it.
I like them old
Masturbating
sluts.
while
Maybe
you
there's
said
a
it.
spider web in the vagina. I like to have it like fairy floss. What are we talking about here, guys?
Anyway,
You want
Seriously,
Vader dead, and I
why
can't
is
believe
everyone always just? I am who I am, okay?
And what's with this? Get in the van, Jan. I don't get.
Get in the
what's
van,
that?
Jan. I said that to her before she was dead.
No, you don't join it. You did not join it. Okay.
Why does every podcast end like this?
I'm
It's
pretty
like
sure it doesn't end like this. I'm pretty
doesn't
sure if
end
we
like
go
this.
back to every podcast, it doesn't end. Like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, ugly.
God.
All right.
you guys are
Anyway.
fuckheads.
All right, look, that's the show. Look, we were pretty serious the whole time. There wasn't that much joking around.
Yeah, man. No, not enough John Kemsley.
Not enough John,
Motherfucking
mother.
Kemsley.
West
No, yeah, look,
West
it was,
Side, nigga.
that's the review. So, love it, hate it, whatever, I don't care. Just bring your A game to the next show. If you're asked to do something, please do it. And please be on time. That's all I ask. Oh, and the camera to be charged.
Yeah.
That would be good too.
Don't
West
make me
Side.
slap you.
West
Don't make me
Side.
slap you.
So I guess
West
we'll
side.
sign off here, guys.
All right.
Sweet.
From Lyla,
Yeah, bye.
bye. Big Red,
Yeah, cheerio, mate. Yeah, mate.
Killawatt Chaos,
Keep it metal, boys.
Daniel Johnston,
See you guys.
and Brian. I'm Aston Crude, aka Carlin Fury, aka Esquilito,
AKA Gay Con.
aka
West Side.
Taser, aka Mad Dog,
AKA
and
West Side.
Why do you keep saying West Side when I'm about to press stop? Why is it always West Side?
Alright, I'll stop. Fucking
Thank you
stop
for-
it, you
Thank
dumb
you for
cunt.
joining us.
Stop it, man.
Thank you for joining us.
How many times do you have to say goodbye?
Can you let me get the final
Alright,
sentence in, please?
alright.
Thank you all for being here and enjoying the show.
Thanks, Carl.
I'm Aston Crude, and this has been the review of Hard Time 6. Thank you very much, and good night.
West Side.
Thank you very much, and good night.
West Side.
No, like a Chaos, I will be calling you to inflict pain on DJ in a second. Thank you
Come
very
on, man.
much.
I thought we were boys,
I said
bro.
thank you very much, and good night.
What?
Thank you very much, and good night.